Welcome to the Release Your Blocks podcast. I am your host, Victoria Bond. I am a spiritual empowerment coach. I help teach others to show up to their potency so they can fulfill their mission here on earth. I am so glad you are here. And if you are interested in becoming a medium, if you're interested in becoming a life coach, or if you're interested in shifting your life from the 3D to live more in the 5D reality, then check me out, book a clarity call, and let's get chatting. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Release Your Blocks. Today's episode is an interview off social media. So Donna Lesa is interviewing me, which is really super exciting and very much an honor. So just to give you a little bit of a background, Donna was my coach for the beginning of 2020. So for 6 months, she actually one-to-one coached me and I've done her programs. So it is a real honor to be interviewed by her. And the exciting thing about this is Donna has asked me to be a part of her program, the Freedom Program, which is happening in 2021. So I am actually going to be doing readings for the people that join her program. So it's absolutely epic and super exciting. So Donna interviews me and she asks me all sorts of questions about how I perceive spirit, the work that I do, how I do readings, how I do healings and integrations and all of these incredible things. So we really go deep into the work that I do. And she really wanted to share with her audience how I do stuff, how I do all the things. So they had a good understanding about, how I do it and what they're going to be receiving in the Freedom Program. Also, I talk about my Release Your Blocks program and my up-and-coming magnificent mediumship program, which is also happening in January 2021. So super excited. If you want to know any more about the Freedom Program or magnificent mediumship or Release Your Blocks, please check out the show notes and contact either Donna or myself. I hope you enjoyed the interview and I'm really looking forward to hearing what your takes are from it. See you soon.
So the interview that I'm doing with Victoria Bond is we're basically going to, so Victoria Bond was a client of mine. She no longer is because she has flourished and she's built this amazing business. She uses her intuitive gifts to be able to really show you how to shine. So I thought that I'd introduce you. So I've already kind of started introducing you. So I've mentioned that you and I had worked together. So you started working with me in October last year, I think it was.
Yeah, October, November, end of last year. Yeah.
End of last year sometime. And we worked together up until recently, and you have just absolutely blossomed and flourished. So I thought, as a way of kind of introducing yourself and telling a little bit about who you are and what you do, if you want to talk a little bit about your journey, over the last 12 months, because I guess that's when you've really kind of exploded.
Yeah.
And then talk a little bit about what it is that you do and the work that you do and how I know I've personally experienced it. So that's why I'm sharing it with everyone. It's just so incredibly powerful.
Thank you. So first of all, it was such an honor to work with you. And, it was actually your energy that I just want to, point out for a second. It was your energy that I was drawn to. And I was like, there was no other way. There was no other way, and I'm very much not so much a thinker, more of a follower. So a follower of the energy, and I was just like, oh my gosh, and I'm so glad I did. It makes me feel quite emotional because my whole life was completely transformed because I found a coach who could see me. And that's one of your superpowers, Donna, is that you can literally see into the auras of other, not to scare anybody. This is a great thing because you can see their potential, you can see their potency. And that is something that I required. I required someone to see my gifts. And what you did was, what Donna did basically was she pulled out those gifts, put them in front of me and said, can you see this? And I was like, what? That stuff's easy. What do you mean? I can get paid for that. And so what I did was I was helped to work through the resistance. So Donna helped me work through all the resistance of that I can't and the all of those things, all of that lower frequency kind of vibrations of, oh, but I don't have enough money and I can't do this and who am I to do this, all of that type of ego stuff. And I just went, fuck it, I'm just going to show up. And having a support and going from quite highly codependent to gently being led up the scale to being more self-sufficient was exactly what happened right up to the point where Donna said, you don't need me anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? And that's what I also loved about you and respected is you weren't going to hold me on there. It was more like, hey, I've done what I can do with you. I've worked with you for 6 months and I took massive action. So, as well as having incredible coach, I took action on everything that Donna said. And if I felt like I wasn't going to take action, she would just gently bring me back, or I would reach out and say, help, I'm stuck. So it was such a beautiful relationship. And what has come out of this by somebody showing me my superpowers is that I am a medium. I have a group called Holistic Energy Shifting. And what I do is I coach coaches and practitioners and people that have these unique superpowers, and I help them to bring them out to the world. And the way that I do that is I'm an intuitive medium. So I'm a spiritual empowerment coach. I help to remove any energetic blocks. I do soul retrievals, implant removals, things that you may not have heard of, and energetically do all the stuff while I can actually talk to ancestors and people that have passed and do this whole lot of energetic psychic mediumship stuff. The reason why it was hard for me to come out, which is what a lot of people find as well, is because I was brought up religious, and nothing against religion, but it was very boo-hooed, and it still is with what I do. And I had to work through that resistance so I could be what I do for the world. So what I do is quite unique. And like Donna said, she has experienced it. And I just sat there with Donna. I did a reading for her, and all of these things came through. They make no sense to me, but it's channeled through me. And she's going, And I'm like, God, thank God it makes sense to you. And while I was doing that, I was doing energy work on her at the same time, which was activating you. It was downloading you and basically not changing you, but bringing you even more forward so you can do what your job is here on earth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I have to say, guys, like I have gone to mediums before and I've had a reading and it's been kind of like, here's the cards, this is what I see for you, blah, blah, blah. And that was kind of it. Whereas with Victoria, it was so different. Like it's so fucking powerful. It truly is, because it was like, you knew things about me, like massive things, as I've told you this morning, before I even knew about them, and that to me was incredible, it's such a fucking gift. And I walked away from that session feeling so expansive and so I felt like I had a healing as well as a reading. It was so incredible. And this is why, I've actually invited Victoria to be part of my program and to do a reading for those who do join the program, because it was absolutely phenomenal. Like, I just can't explain it. And I said to Victoria, like, how I explain it is very kind of like, it's like, oh, she's powerful, but like, I don't know how to actually put into words what it is that you did, because that's the only word I have.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. And you always say that you're like, I don't know how to explain what you did. And the best way to explain that is it's energy. We're all energy, and it's all about tapping into the frequency and raising our vibration and allowing ourselves to be, and not trying to figure it out all with this head that is conditioned. And that's what a lot of what you do, Donna. We actually do things that are very similar. Obviously, I'm very kind of spirit based, so I can't help the fact that there's spirits standing around me and I chat to them and help them and stuff. Like, that's a massive part, which is what you help bring up in me as well, allowing me to see that more so. So I thank you so much for that. But what we do is very similar. We're both extremely intuitive. And the first thing I said to you when we started working is, you energy pulled me, and you were like, not sure what you're talking about, but and I said, you found me and you pulled me into your vortex, didn't you? And I was like, this chick didn't even know she didn't. She's like Beyonce. She's like Madonna. She's like, you may not be a singer. I don't know how you sing, but what you do is
terribly.
You pull people in, and they are in your vortex, and they're like, oh wow, I've got to be there. And this is how we should be functioning from, not the head, but I need to be in her vortex. And I'm just going to like shout out to you guys as well, to let you guys know. At the very beginning of working with Donna, I had no money. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going on a bit of a riff here, but I've got to explain how this changed my life. I had no money, and I said to Donna, I'm not going to jump on a phone call with you, Donna, because I'd messaged her a couple of times, because I can't afford to pay you. And I'm building a house, and I've got this and this and this and this and this. So I had all these avoidance and all these cycles and blah, 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 which I worked through. And by that now I literally, my husband's just retired. He's working today, like the one day he's ever working. But literally, I literally have retired my husband. I've moved into a new house. I'm planning to move to the beach. I can co-parent. I have money. I have fucking money in the bank, where before I was like, how am I going to pay you this money for your program? And then we went on to one-to-one coaching. How am I going to pay you this money? And then another one-to-one, and then another program. And I was just like, you know what? That was worth every penny. And that's what my husband said too. It was worth every penny, because for everything I invested, I got it back tenfold. And now I'm doing my true job of helping other people help other people on a spiritual kind of basis. So I just wanted to let you know that, like, everything we invest spiritually, mentally, physically, everything we do will come back to us. So when we're functioning from scarcity, like I was, like, Donna, I'm afraid. And thank God you said, Victoria, I see your gifts. I'm going to allow you to do a payment plan. And you had some grace on me. That's what saved my life, because I just was functioning from not my gifts, functioning from my head instead. So I just wanted to acknowledge you there as well.
I'm trying not to cry. I'm actually trying not to cry right now. But you've come so far. Like the woman who I met at the end of last year, you were in hairdressing at the time, and I remember you saying to me, I can't do this job anymore because it was hurting your hands.
I forgot.
Physically getting.
I forgot I was a hairdresser too.
Yeah.
I was a hairdresser for 20 years. And I'm like, Donna,
yeah,
I can't do it. I've got dermatitis, and I'm like 36, and my back's breaking. And you were just like, you need to give it up. Sorry, carry on. But yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and like now I look at you, and it was all the doubt, and now it's just like you're this fucking powerhouse. Like your energy is just so switched on. When you see you, it's like, oh, I want to watch that live. Like, it's just fucking amazing to see. I love it. It really, really lights me up to see that.
Thank you.
So what I would love to have you share with everybody is a little bit of the work that you do. So you've mentioned the soul retrievals. Like, what is a soul retrieval, and how does that help them in business? How does that allow them to be able to shine in their business? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, good question. So I downloaded this soul retrieval activation. What I do is I help other people download their activations uniquely as well, without this, but all with this. Anyway, so what I do is I literally can see people's energy, and I can see if a part of them is like not there. So this sounds kind of crazy, but when you're visualizing somebody and you can see them really, really strong in your mind, or they're kind of faded, that's how I perceive. And it's 11:11 a.m. right now. just saying. So what I do is I basically bring any trauma. So sometimes trauma, things that have happened in our lives, we can like jump out of our body. So basically we have our body, we have our spirit, we have our soul. We're all kind of combined. We're not just a body. And I can see that, and I can see the energies. I can see the auras. I can see the energy. And when I look at somebody and they kind of look a little bit kind of staticky, like they're not fully there, what I do is I really dive in and I go, okay, so is there a full soul here? Show me. Because when we go through trauma or abuse or anything like that, it's like we jump out of our body to kind of like especially as children, we jump out to kind of like save ourselves. It's like a mechanism for,
Coping mechanism.
pardon me?
No, coping mechanism.
Yeah, it's a coping mechanism. It's like a safety thing. And then sometimes a little part of that soul like doesn't come back in. And this is something I've heard about for quite a while. And it wasn't until I downloaded this information that I went, oh my gosh, I can help them. So what I do is I travel. I like travel, and I use my team, I use my guides, and I use, light beings. I can go quite deep into all of that type of stuff. And I go and find that energetic part that is missing of them, which is kind of like, floating around wherever. And I have this very strong intention and strength with no fear of getting it. And then I pop it back in along with that person. And then what I do is once they have this full kind of heart and their soul is full again. And a lot of people explain it as, I feel complete. I feel full. I feel like I'm here now, because a lot of people don't feel like they're completely here. They're like, where am I? Like they're actually scattered. So when you bring the soul back into alignment and you kind of bring that in, then you remove anything that doesn't serve, because we can have energy things stuck in us that stop us. So what I did with you and other people is I removed those blocks. I put that soul in, I lit it up, I lit you up kind of thing. And then the reason why it helps in business is because you can see yourself more. You feel complete. You don't feel scattered. You go, oh, I know my purpose now. I know my mission. I know my gifts. Oh, I'm ready to rock and roll. There may be a little bit of resistance sometimes. Like for you, Donna, it was instantaneous. You're like, wow, because you have a very good mindset. So something's changing and you get curious. If people aren't at the level as you are with your mindset, then they may be like, oh, something's changing, and they don't like change because they're attached to the past version of themselves. This is an up level and upgrade of you. So you're more you. And then you can come out with your message. So that's how it helps in business. And that's what's really just integrated with me in the last couple of months, where I'm going, the soul retrievals, the removals of the energy things, and the other stuff that I do is all a part of the reading. I don't believe in telling futures, although your future did come through quite clearly, which was like, because you were so open to it and it was this direct clarity. So I told you, of course, but I also pre-framed it and said, this is one possibility, Donna. This is one possibility that you can choose, but there is millions of possibilities, and I would never limit anybody. And that's why my readings are different, because I can tell you what you can do to up level, to shift, to grow, to change, to complete and do your purpose and your mission here, and to actually align with that. But you get to choose. I'm not going to tell you what to do, because I'm not here to help codependent people. I'm here to give them activations and downloads, and then they can go and do what they require. Does that make sense?
It does, and it was certainly my experience. So, when we had our session together after we finished working together, I guess, because that was a cleaner way of doing it. And, when we did, it was actually really good, because I no longer had to be coached with you. So I could be really open to our session, and when we had that, it was, the word that comes up is expansive. It was exactly what you were saying. And when it happened, it was quite interesting, because that following week, I had to make some really tough decisions to cut some certain things off and to really set those boundaries with certain things. And it was crazy. I was just like, okay, energetic click there, bang, bang, bang. Like I was just closing them up all over the shop, and it felt so amazing. And I really contribute that to our session and to, the expansiveness that I felt when you did that soul retrieval for me. Like I really do attribute that to you. And I don't think I've actually said that to you until now. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, because not everybody receives it. A lot of people want me to fix them. A lot of people, I'm sure you experience this as well. And the amount of times I have to say to someone, I'm sorry, I can't work with you, or I'm not going to do this, because I'm not here to fix you. I'm not here to save you. And this is something that you, Donna, actually taught me massively. Victoria, you're not here to save them, because as light workers, as coaches, as practitioners, all we want to do is help and serve and be. But what Donna taught me was the best way to do that is allow someone to have their own responsibility so they can receive what they are choosing with no judgment. So the fact that you sat there and you trusted me as well, because you clearly know me, you know, like everything about me because you're my coach for 6 months plus. But like literally, you know everything about me actually. But the funny thing is, you know, when we into that coaching contract and you were like, can I please have a reading? Because I really want to experience you, because like, holy moly, like I see all the stuff in you. You just lay back and you received. And that's a beauty, because I was receiving from you for so long. And you helped me come up the scale of codependency so then I could be self-sufficient and I could step into my own power. And that's what you are really amazing at doing as a coach. So the fact that we can receive whatever we are desiring, anything, it can be money, there's plenty of it to go around, and there's also this body, this beautiful body. You know, I've been in the depths of despair and depression and suicidal. I've been probably kind of miserable most of my life, and when I started working with you, that's when we turned everything around and said, hang on, what are these patterns? And that's what you do. What are these patterns you're playing out in your life? And I remember saying to you, I just need structure on my business, Donna. And you're like, okay. And then I was like, wow, okay, that ended up being all mindset, which is exactly what I needed. Exactly. Because the masculine, boom, 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 business, business, business is never, ever going to get you where you want to go. It's all from your heart. And that's what you, I know I've just gone on a bit of a rant here, but that's truly what someone needs to hear this. That's what you taught me, is about stepping in and not saving people. It's about inviting people to be more for themselves.
It's actually funny. So for those of you who don't know, it was I think you brought my structure program and I gifted you my mindset program. So I think you brought the online presence money mastery and I gifted you the inside job program, because I was like, it's not what you need.
I think it was,
so I was like, yeah, have both.
It's actually really funny. I think it was the opposite. I think the divine timing was you had the inside job, right? That was your mindset program. And I said to you, hey, I know you're selling this, but I want the other one because I want the structure. And you said, you already knew. You didn't say anything though. You're like, sure thing. You purchase this one. You know what? I'm actually going to give you the structure one. So I loved the structure one. It was exactly what I needed, to be honest. But I actually needed the inside job just as much. And so they were actually, I needed both. And it was just so amazing. But it was funny how, thank goodness, the other one was still available. And then you gave me so much grace so I could actually finish them all and juggle them all, because I was doing the busy being busy and it worked out perfectly. So your coach always knows what you need. So people, listen up, listen to your coach. Oh, hey Olivia, hey Daylin, how are you? Maria.
Yeah, many people join us.
Yeah. Awesome.
Sorry, guys, we've been ignoring the comments because we've been so deep in conversation.
Olivia's like, hey, soul sisters, we'll watch the replay. Awesome. And Daylin said, agreed to future reading is not just one possibility. Yeah, absolutely. And people get stuck. They literally get stuck because they go, but she told me I was going to move house and meet this man in 6 months' time. And then you're like, oh, do you know, I have to love you too. Oh, cute. Honestly, the amount of people I've got to clean up the messes from when they have readings. People ring me and they go, oh, this person said I should do this. And I said, let's destroy and uncreate all of that and start again. And I'm like,
I actually had somebody say to me the other day that they went for a reading with somebody and that person told them that their mum was going to die or something. And I was like, holy shit, are you even allowed to say something like that?
It's not fair and it's rude. And it's actually having a little bit of that God complex, because I do a lot of consciousness work. So I'm an access consciousness facilitator. So I teach about consciousness, and it's not about limiting possibilities. In that case of saying someone's going to die or this is going to happen to you, what you would actually do instead is you would say, hey, go check on this person and give them this advice, because this can be changed around. Because actually point blank saying something like that is a total lie. It's a total lie. It's not real.
Well, this is what I said to that person. I was like, well, rather than looking at it like that, maybe, this was just an opportunity now that you have this information, true or not, to be able to go and do something with it, to be able to go and have a look at their health and see what you can do to actually alleviate that thing from happening. But far out, I'm kind of coaching around, like, it's okay, don't worry, it's fine, there's another way around this. When I'm kind of thinking, really?
That would be the same as you. It'd be the same as you saying to one of your clients, like Victoria, like saying to me when I first started working with you, this is what your future looks like if you stay where you are. You won't build a business. You won't be a medium. You won't get to 10K months easily. You won't do this. You won't do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is go, oh, well, I'm not even going to try. So when it's the same as a reader, if they sit there and they're projecting forward, they need to be like more like, hey, this is what I'm feeling, what's going on with this. And that's what I do. I'm a life coach. So I coach through my readings as well as the energy stuff and maybe every psychic medium should do coaching. I don't know, like, yeah, because that's just not okay. So I just, anyone who's listening to this, if you've had a reading and you make that external reading bigger than your internal knowing, then do some journaling or figure that out, because it's if it's not light and expansive, if it's heavy and contracted, then let's face it, there might be a lie there or some kind of darker stuff you need to clear out.
Yeah, and that's what I really liked about you. You did make it abundantly clear that when we had our reading together, it was one of many possibilities. It wasn't like, this is it, door shut, that's only what's happening for you. It just so turned out that some of what you said has already come to fruition, but, it wasn't an absolute, and I like that. I like the ability to choose. I do believe how I visualize, because I'm a very visual person, is I kind of see it as like, there's a maze and there's like 10 different entries, that you could choose from. And there's a million different outcomes dependent on what entry point you choose. That's how I kind of visualize it in my mind. And when you said that, it's like, oh, so if I chose that path, possibly that's where it would go. But if I chose that one, maybe I'd go over here. And it's just so cool to have that element of choice. And it just feels really expansive to know that.
And it's always the path of least resistance, but it doesn't matter which path you take. So Daylin, is that how you say it, Daylin? She was saying, I'm coached to do the reading too. Most clients want to know the future, not interested in being coached. They prefer to do nothing but know what's going to happen. How can we talk to them actually coaching session to be more helpful? So this is where I'm very, very picky. This is where I'm extremely picky. This is why I coach. I read for coaches and I read for practitioners, because I'm not interested in telling someone, and I learned this very early on when I started doing readings, whether they should leave their partner or not, what color they should change their house, where they should move. Go get a tarot reading if you want your path to be put out for you. Go get a tarot reading and follow their path if that's what you're destined to do. I am not into that kind of shallow stuff. It's more like I did with Donna, and it was kind of like, hey, this is your maze. Do you want me to show you the least path of resistance? And you can have a choice to change that and add things in and add people in and do whatever you want, because how many of us don't believe that we can create our own reality? But we can. I'm clear evidence. And the reason why I created it was because I was drawn to a coach, which is Donna, who could help me, do the things that I didn't think I could do. That's what really, really helped me. So as far as mediumship, I have people coming through. I've got a podcast and I talk a lot about mediumship and a lot about that type of stuff. And Daylin says they don't believe it. Yeah, exactly. I don't do readings for anyone who is wanting massive amount of certainty and me telling them the future. And I'll say to them, hey, I actually go see this reader or go see this reader or this reader because I can't do it. Like, it doesn't align with me. I want the best for you, which means I'm not going to tell you what to do. So that was a hard decision when I became a medium to say, what type of medium am I going to be? But I'm like a medium who does coaching and does all the energetic stuff. And I trust that my clients will trust that they will get what they require. So hopefully that answered your question. Yes, Donna really showed me the power we have. Yeah, totally cool. Yeah.
I think it also comes down to that level of responsibility. So like what you were saying before, we can't take responsibility for everybody. They need to step up and take an element of personal responsibility. And this is why you've had so much success, in our coaching relationship, is because I showed up and I did my 50, but you showed up and did your 50 and then some. Like, you really showed up. You took a lot of personal responsibility. And those are the sorts of clients that I want to work with, and I think that that's kind of the decision for you, Di, that you need to make is, what sorts of clients do I want to work with? Do I want to work with the people who want to put their responsibility outside of themselves, or do I want to work with people who want to own their self-responsibility, take personal responsibility, and actually step up for themselves, be their own hero? Because whether they realize it now or later, they're going to realize it at some point that there is nobody coming in to save you, no matter what the circumstance is, whether it be a shitty relationship or a job or, trying to start a business. There is nobody coming in to save you. You have to be that person for yourself.
Yeah. And cutting the excuses. And I think I'm still getting clients like past versions of me that come through.
I love that lesson.
and I'm like, okay, and I'll go into like a little bit of scarcity, a little bit, and then I'm like, hang on, remember who you are. And then I'm like, oh yes, that's not this version of Victoria. This is the $1 million version of Victoria. This isn't the holy shit, can I buy food this week? Like, I've been broke my whole life. So to see thousands in my bank account so I can go buy a new computer, so I can go on holiday. And I shouted my friend on the weekend. I went to my beach town where I'm going to move to, and I love it. Took my daughter there for 4 days just to be. It was magical. And I could just shout my girlfriend dinner. I didn't even have to think about how much it was. Like, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but for me, that's massive. Like, not having to check my bank account to make sure it doesn't decline. So I took responsibility, and the way I did that was I tried to be coachable. I know I was probably a bit of hard work sometimes, but it was really about saying, can you tell me what to do? And I'll just go do it. And you're like, take responsibility. Okay. So being responsible for yourself and going, if it's crunchy, if someone's annoying you, let's have a look at that reflection right now. What is reflecting back at you? Is this a past version, a present version, or is this actually something I need to change and shift? And taking that responsibility and not the victim mode. And I can't read for victim mode people. Thank you, Donna, you just helped me bring that out. I think that you can't coach victim mode people.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And actually what you were saying before around the ability, and congratulations, by the way, to just take your friend out for lunch and to not worry about it. I can certainly relate to that, because if I think back to 2017, when I first started my coaching business, I remember I had signed, I think my first client, which literally covered the coach that I'd hired, my very first coach that I'd hired. And I had $20 left. After I did bills and shopping and everything, I literally had $20 left. And I remember I remember actually going out on dates with Caleb when we first got together, and I'd be like, oh, let's go for a coffee, because literally I was like, I only have $20 to my name at the end of this week, because I was just pouring everything else, kind of into my business, and anything that I made was just going back into the business. I wasn't making anything initially, really. And, I remember that point where it got to a point where, I could just be like, oh, my shoes broke. Okay. Or earlier this year, my computer just completely shut itself. And, I could just be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to spend $1,000 on a laptop. And, once upon a time, that was completely foreign to me. But the ability to be able to do that is just, it's such a big relief, and it feels so amazing to be able to do that. So when you say that and you say, oh, I think it sounds silly, it doesn't sound silly at all. I know that feeling, the freedom to be able to do that, hence why I've called my program the Freedom Program, is just beyond amazing, because it really does. You don't want to have to worry about, can I buy my kids those shoes, or can I pay for the food shopping or whatever. To actually be able to do that and then some, take your friend out for lunch is just beyond amazing. It really is. And to do that, to have that level of freedom and that ability to, look in your account and have thousands of dollars. Again, I've been through the same thing. It's hard to kind of imagine not having those thousands of dollars. I've lifted the limit up so much that I kind of look at my bank account now, and if it drops below a certain point, I'm like, nope, got to fix that. Whereas, you know, I used to have like $20 in my account. Like, it's just crazy to think, you know, and I think that, I don't know, it's so powerful to be able to kind of get into that space of self-responsibility and to really step up and go, no, this is what I want for my life. I want to look at my account and have thousands of dollars. I want to be able to take my friend out for lunch. So I'm glad that you shared that, because when you said that, I was like, oh, no, I don't think that's silly at all. Like, I relate to that. I feel that. I know how powerful that is.
And when we function from the scarcity, like when I first moved here to this town about 7 years ago and I had a little baby with me, I remember just thinking, we actually put everything into this mortgage and we can't even afford, we don't have money for a month. And the fact that I couldn't buy a coffee after being a professional hairdresser for so long, the fact that I was worried about how we're going to pay, like, for petrol. I remember my friends came to visit me and they wanted to go into town and it was like 10 minutes drive there and back. And then we got lost a little bit. And I was like, this is my only petrol for an entire week. They went to McDonald's and they all went to order something. And I went, no, I'm good. Like, I'm sweet as, I'll have something when we get home. And my friends were like, oh, we won't then. We'll buy you something. I'm like, no. And I'm nearly in tears going, I can't fucking afford a cheeseburger. Like, what is going on? Total scarcity. Came back. And made them all toasties. So I used all my food and I was like, oh my God, I'm using my food. Like, it was, and like, you know, I don't want to ever go back there and I won't. And I did get what I wanted. I got the house I wanted and all that type of stuff, but I was in hustle mode for the last 7 years. I've been in massive hustle mode until this year because I did invest in a coach, which was you, and it totally changed my life. So it was crazy. And my daughter was 6 months old and I was doing hair and I was just charging $50 for my friends just so I had enough money, like a little bit of snippet. So I'd work for hours and hours and hours. And now I'm like, I don't do hair. I don't even do my son's hair or my husband's hair. I pay another hairdresser to do their hair. People are like, you're crazy. I'm like, I don't want to. One day I might. Yeah. Right now, that hour is more precious for me to work on my business, and I'll go send them off for a nice, pleasurable experience rather than like, sit down quickly, I'm going to cut your hair. So it just doesn't have to be that way. There's more than enough. And you said this to me, I'm hearing your voice now. There's more than enough to go around. There is money everywhere. It's just about you being willing to receive it and showing up. And no more brokenness. Like, I don't want broke. I don't choose it. It's not happening. I'm going to have money. I'm never going to have to struggle ever again. And I will always choose me. And that's what I truly believe.
Yeah. You are amazing. You are amazing. I feel exactly the same way. And I just love that you're bringing these topics up, because it's actually interesting. As you're talking just then, I actually had a thought go through my mind and I was like, stay present in the moment, Donna. But I had a thought go through my mind where you said something like, and this is your voice playing out in my head, Donna. And I was like, yeah, isn't that interesting? You know, like we have our coach's voice, and, you know, in the same work that you do as well, like, which is why it's so powerful and why you saying, you know, there are many pathways in which this would go. Is so important, because you do actually play out in people's minds. So I was listening to what you were saying, but also my mind kind of went somewhere else for a moment there and was, you know, kind of thinking about what you were saying there. I think that, you know, having somebody in your mind all the time is really, really powerful. And it's how you get from that scarcity space. It's how you kind of get from that place of, you know, feeling like, oh shit, I have no money, you know, how am I going to do this, blah, blah, blah. Having that other person's voice in your mind until you have the faith within yourself, I feel like is so important. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, what was my coach saying?
Yeah,
in my mind.
Yeah, exactly. And if you could get yourself out of your mess, you probably would have already done it. So, you know, your mind would have got you out of it. When we function from awareness, it's kind of like, what is the awareness I have right now? Oh, I require a coach. You know, it's like the norm now. Like, it's kind of like, I require a coach. Oh, great. Is this what I'm choosing? And I wouldn't have got where I am now without a coach. I would not have done it, or I may have, but it may have taken me until I was like 60. It would have taken me a long time. And that's what we find with people. People are coming out with their gifts at 60, 70 going, oh, okay, now I'm ready. But the thing is, why not do it when you're 30? Why not do it now? And who says just because you had a corporate job like you did, Donna, that you can't pivot and change it and completely change it around? So the reason why you go to someone to get coached or have your reading or whatever it is, be guided and whatever, is so they can give you something that you are not clear on. So rather than trying to figure out, it's more like just receive that and go, oh, okay, and get curious about it. And that's what I did with you, because I was like, oh, I'm very curious. This is cool. Let's see what can change. And it worked. It worked. So thank God. Now my husband is all like my biggest cheerleader. He's just like, you just do what you want to do. I remember saying to him, should I re-sign with Donna? Because of course I respect my husband and I wanted to ask him everything. And he goes, well, like, yeah. like why are you even asking me? Like, I'm just checking, like, and he was like, of course you should. So I did like another, and as soon as you sign that contract, you're like, oh, I know I'm investing in me. The universe knows I'm investing in me. My coach knows I'm investing. And you're not always trying to get advice and be an energy puller from other people, because you've got a coach that holds a space and says, how can I help you? And I think that is the most beautiful experience I had with you, is, so am I allowed to just tell you everything? And you're like, yeah, go for it. I'm like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah, because I'm so opposed to that whole, like, you have to do it a certain way. I cannot stand that. Like, what worked for me may not work for you. You're a very different energy and very different person to what I am, and so, like, I really truly do believe that you need to kind of go, well, this is what I feel feels good for me. Awesome, go do that. If it feels good, follow that thing, follow that energy. Like you said before, you always follow the energy. I'm very much the same. If I feel like something feels amazing, I'm like, yes, let's go do that thing. If it feels shit house, I'm like, no, thank you.
And knowing that our energy is so precious, like me, I know you're going to go into HD and stuff, but knowing that, knowing my human design now and knowing how I function, I went to bed crying, because you used to say to me, relax, go rest, go meditate. And I'd be like, I was manifesting like hard. And I was like, and you'd be like, Victoria, ground, calm down, go have a sleep. And I'd be like, what? And I'd just go do this thing. And then I realized that I've been functioning from something I'm not, which is like, go, 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 go. That's why I hit burnout. That's why I had depression. That's why I was suicidal, because I was going against the grain the whole time. But now I just align and go exactly what you said. What feels good for me right now? And then I literally just do that.
So for those of you who don't know what Victoria is talking about as well, just so you do, she's talking about human design reading. So Victoria and I both happen to be projectors, and for the projector design type, our design type isn't to go, 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 go. We actually are the one design type that needs a lot of rest and needs to kind of step back from things, and only show up when it really feels aligned. And so when I was saying to her, relax, and this is before I even knew you were a projector, I was saying to you, relax, that's part of why this has resonated with you so much, because it's part of your human design type, which I should mention as well is part of the Freedom Program, guys. So Carly Anna is going to be, I'm not trained in human design, so I've pulled people in who are. Carly Anna is trained in that, and she's going to be coming and doing readings and a class within the Freedom Program, just so you guys know. But that is what Victoria is mentioning here, is knowing that and then aligning your work to that is just so powerful. I know I've certainly found that for myself as well.
It's actually a game.
So yeah, it is, isn't it? Actually, one of the things I found was like, how do you deliver content? And, for me, it was through experiences, so experiences that I've had, and also through concepts, so understanding different models. And, which, from working with me is like my jam. I love to like teach you guys models and then lay them over the top of each other and, figure out the code of humans and why we do the things we do. So I heard that and I was like, okay, that makes so much sense, why I do the work that I do in the way that I do. So it's so powerful. But I want to bring it back to you. So I know that you mentioned to me through messages just before we jumped on this call that you are changing the way that you do things, and that the people who do join the Freedom Program will be the lucky last people to be able to receive a one-on-one reading with you. So can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you're planning next? And, you know, just share a little bit about what you plan to kind of share in the Freedom Program with people who do, you know, join up and have a reading with you.
Cool. So firstly, this is okay. I'm just gonna tell you. Actually, Donna, you're like one of the only people I've told so far. But the other day,
Oh, shit. I'm not meant to say that online.
no, it's totally fine. I believe in divine timing. So basically the other day I woke up, it was like 4:44. So it was 4:45 in the morning, and I downloaded really quick. I had my great grandparents there. All this different stuff happened, and long story short, I went and, like Donna says, it was coming out of my brain so fast I couldn't type it fast enough, and it was my new download for my programs that are coming up, which are all based around mediumship. So completely different to the Freedom Program, but you guys will be able to have a snippet of what it is that I do. So basically what I've got coming up is mediumship levels 1 and 2. So it's really to help coaches and practitioners, high level people, to turn up, like getting those, like what I did with you, Donna. So doing that, but then turning up all of your abilities as well. So I prep you basically with the soul stuff and the implant removal and stuff, and then turn you up, and so you can activate and download yourself. So this is for coaches and practitioners. So that's where my new kind of pivot is going to, and there's no stopping it. When I was talking to Donna well, Donna kept telling me actually about what I should be doing, and I was like, I don't know. But basically, you know, you kind of planted that seed, I suppose, and then what actually happened was now it's downloaded after a whole year, and I wrote it out in 5 minutes. I know exactly what is happening. So I've just decided that I'm going to be cutting my readings out because they are so potent. I'm a projector, so I've got limited energy. I respect my energy. My time is very sacred. So what I'm going to be doing is I will be available for the Freedom Program, which is this is a very exclusive offer, and you will experience what Donna experienced. So in a group, what I do, sorry, not in a group, but in a one-to-one session, it is soul alignment. It is implant removal. This is me, like, literally going to find parts, and I do a lot of this stuff, and then I pull cards because I love cards. I don't need cards, but I do pull cards because it's that visual thing. And I hold the cards up, and I can read a card. One card, I can do it for an hour. But like I say, I don't need it. So there's card readings, there's energetic alignment. You get the downloads that are required, and I also do light language. That's something that I don't know if you've experienced that with me, Donna, but something that I'm bringing into everything is light language. So I channel from the galactic, and it kind of sounds like a different language. So the different language of that, again, downloads, integrations, all these types of things. I bring into a reading what I feel is relevant for the client. That's why I call it a guided reading, because I'm not going to tell you what color to paint your house or to leave the man. I may feel a man's coming. I may feel things, and I may tell you about it, but I'm here for the highest good of you, for your soul's purpose, for your divine mission. And I think bigger, my job is bigger than telling you the small details, unless they're really, really important and it comes through. So I picked up a lot of details in Donna's reading, and that I was saying to her, hey, I feel like I have to say this to you. So I said it to you, and thank God it resonated. But usually you get what you get, basically. But there's always integrations and downloads, spiritual healing and readings, and quite often, actually, most definitely all the time, spirit comes through. So loved ones come through, and I can see them. I can feel them, and they will tell me things, and they connect. So I'm the medium, but I also acknowledge my part in it. So hopefully that makes sense. So like I say, very sacred, very precious, and I'm going to be available for this in the Freedom Program, which is super exciting because I know that the people that are choosing it, and because Donna has asked me, which is such an honor, I know that it's going to help them be more present with the coaching so they can achieve what they're truly desiring, which will be magical.
Yeah, so guys, I really encourage you to jump onto this because, you know, Victoria is amazing, you know, and to be able to have you exclusively show up in the Freedom Program, I'm incredibly grateful because, like, I know that, you know, you could kind of be like, you know what, this is my new direction and this is what I'm doing, but you haven't done that. You've just been like, you know what, I'm willing to, you know, do these readings for your people. And I'm really, really grateful for that. So I just want to say a big thank you.
Aww.
You know, that means a lot.
You're so welcome. And just to be clear, I don't not do readings. Like, I do readings in my own groups. I've got one-to-one clients. I've got my own programs and my mediumship programs and stuff like that where I do readings, but it's just not like a public thing because, like I say, the energy of the people coming in is quite selective. So I know that the people in your freedom will be a perfect match because I believe in divine alignment.
So I think we kind of might park it there because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that you've probably got a million other things to do today, but I just want to say a big thank you for jumping on, for sharing a little bit about your story, where you've come from, where you are now, for sharing, you know, your gifts, what it is that you do, the expansiveness that you just create in so many people. I know that I've certainly had people who I've referred over to you and they've had a reading with you and they've come back to me and they're like, oh, thank you so much, Donna. You know, she was amazing. You know, it was so good. And, you know, even clients of mine have had reading with you and they've come back and they've been like, okay, so with what Victoria said and then what you said, you know, I've been able to create this thing. And, you know, it's been really, really cool, like, to actually have sent people your way and then had the feedback come back to me about what it is that they've experienced as a result. So
thank you so much.
You know, I wouldn't, you know me, I wouldn't invite somebody into my program if I didn't fully trust them heart and soul, and I really do with you. So
yeah, I think that's a perfect thing about collaboration as well. Both you and I are quite particular because we know our energies as well. We do know our psychic abilities because you're very, very intuitive, and the energy has to align. It has to be very, very aligned. And I've done collaborations with people before that you don't know what it is, but there's a bit of wonkiness, and you're like, what is this wonkiness? And you're like, I'm willing to do anything. Like, why is it wonky? And, you know, so, like I say, divinely timed, divinely aligned. You know when you know, and the same thing. You're never going to get two different things. Donna's saying this, Victoria's saying this. You mold it together, it's one big confusion because we do think very similarly. Whatever that word is.
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. So thank you so much for the offer. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I can't wait. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for joining the Release Your Blocks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear from you. So please leave a review and tell me what your favorite takeaway from today was. There is so much more from where this came from. You can also find me at Holistic Energy Shifting on Facebook, where you can find more content, more coaching, and more guidance. Have a grand and glorious day, and I'll see you next time.